Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Just Go With It's Worth Your Time. This is our review of the season three of The Bad Batch. I'm Jared. That's Ben. Forgot to say that. Um,
I know. I was like, she's gonna say my name. I'm like making
nope,
hand
nope.
signals, and you're just like, nope, moving on.
But yeah, we're talking about the final season of The Bad Batch today. Because it's been out for a little less than a week now, and we finally finished it. So Ben, I gotta know, what was your thoughts on this series as a whole, this season, just everything? Is there any specific episodes you want to talk about? Just I'm gonna give you the floor.
We're giving this the X-Men approach because there is a lot of things to talk about in this, but it also okay. I'll get to there when I get to there. Sorry, I got several things. So it started out with Maya getting the end of last season. She was captured. Um,
Yes.
we learn about the M count. We learn what the M count is. Obviously, we already knew. Um, So she gets captured, then she escapes beginning of the season. They then go to that planet where they're like hiding out, and then Asajj Ventress showed up, and that was my favorite part, the whole episode, because this is a character that I've seen in the Clone Wars. I've always wondered what happened to a lot of these characters after the Clone Wars. We got to see
Hmm.
a little bit. I would like to see an actual dive into her backstory. She's a Night Sister, for goodness sake. You don't see
Yeah.
any of that. So I would like to learn more about her. So it's nice to they don't just forget her.
Yeah.
It's like she still exists, you know. Um, and you gotta see how Omega she has quote unquote potential, but not really.
Yeah. And I guess we should
Like
go ahead and just say this is spoilers. Like it's hard to talk about this show without spoilers. Um, Maybe we just won't spoil the final episode for now. We'll save that for the end, but
okay,
everything else.
so basically, I mentioned earlier M counts. So midichlorians using the Force. So she has the appropriate M count. I don't remember her actually being able to use it.
No, I remember on the episode with Asajj Ventress, she tells her she doesn't have it, but then when Hunter or someone talks to her alone, she was like, "Look, she does have potential, but just you know,
You don't want this life for her. Yeah.
yeah, yeah." Um, so she was lying to Omega about it, so that way she would,
Yeah.
not overly worry.
Yeah, and I felt like they kind of did that to be like, this is why Omega's being followed and why they're going after Omega, and it's like, okay, but then why did you bring Asajj Ventress into this and just be like, oh, nah, we're doing nothing with that? You know, it feels like a tease that nothing actually happens.
Yeah, well, they did
You
that with
know,
a few things too, with the other clone or whatever. Remember the like assassin guy? We
okay,
thought for sure.
I still think that that was, and then they changed it because I felt like it'd be too on the nose
I don't know who's to say, but there
because
was
they
this. There was
kept
like
cutting
an
back to him.
assassin clone, and we thought for sure this entire time he was going to be Tech, and it was going to be
Yes,
Tech. Who they found him and they saved him, and then they reprogrammed him or something. But
you,
they never say. So
you follow this assassin like there's like a whole episode with him, isn't there? Like, or at least
not,
parts of whole episodes.
yeah,
I'm
not
like,
dedicated to him, but yeah,
that's why I'm like, okay, this is a character. And then by the end of it, nothing. He just
yeah,
dies. No help. That you don't see his face. Just nothing. So it feels
yeah,
like there was a plot line there that they just went, nope, there's too much going on. We're not doing that, you know?
yeah.
Or they felt it was too campy or too silly. But I really did think that it was going to be Tech. Um, did you how did you feel about this whole Asajj Ventress thing?
The Asajj Ventress episode I liked. I would say there were about five episodes I really liked this season, and I feel like the rest was filler. Um,
Yeah,
there was a
like a lot of lead
lot of
ups.
filler in this season. Yeah. Um, I really liked the last episode, and I really liked the Asajj Ventress episode. And then even the first three, how it was kind of like Omega trying to figure out how to break out of the prison, break out of the lab, and her having to work together with Crosshair. And I liked her and Crosshair's relationship too. How, like, at
Yes.
first he was very standoffish and not understanding why
Hmm.
the other clones had this connection to her. And then he developed a connection with her that was just as strong as the other ones.
I did
Um,
like the part where they returned to that base that he was at in the previous season.
mhm.
I thought that was an interesting callback. I didn't just forget about that, and it actually, played a role. It's small,
Yeah,
but I was like, oh, that's neat.
yeah. But I don't know. Like, the more we have both episode lists pulled up, the more I'm like looking at these episodes, I'm like, nothing
Yeah.
happened in some of these. Like,
Again, a lot of them was lead up.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what was it? Identity. Bad Territory was kind of its own thing with the bounty hunters, but it was just a lead up. It was interesting enough on its own because it's different characters, but
yeah.
it also just led into the whole, science facility thing with Omega and the other kids.
Was that the one with Cad
Um,
Bane? Bad Territory?
I believe so. Yeah, I think
Okay,
because what's her face was going after the child. Cad Bane was going after the child. I think.
yeah. And it's always cool
I
to see
thought
him.
something
I
like that.
like Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of want to talk about the last episode, if you're down for
One
that.
more I want to touch upon real quick.
Okay.
Um, Identity Crisis and then Point of No Return. I think they kind of went together. That was with the scientist lady. I cannot remember her name. Um, I thought that was
Emery.
interesting. Emery, thank you. How she changed sides because I didn't expect her to change sides. I always expected her to play that sort of I'm the clone that actually wants to work for
Yeah,
the bad guys. So I did not expect her to change sides, or I expected her just to get killed or something,
yeah,
and she didn't. So I thought the whole episode was interesting. You got to see where she's coming from and what that side of things is like for an Imperial officer. It's like, oh, it's not just we're bad guys. I gotta do the right thing. It's like, no, this is like an entire life.
yeah,
This is like it's not easy. We gotta
yeah.
see that with Crosshair too, like in the previous season where he kind of changed sides.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the final bit
Okay.
because
So spoilers
is
from this point on.
this is the juicy part.
Um. So yeah, I don't. I liked this last episode. I did a lot, but
Yes,
I feel like it should have been a little more impactful, if that makes sense. Like,
this
there was
last
no death or anything like that from any of the main characters, no sacrifice or anything like that. And I felt like there should have been. I felt like it shouldn't have been a happy ending as it was, because this is supposed to be when the Empire is at their most powerful. They're building the Death Star, they've taken
mhm,
over, all the Jedi are gone, and stuff like that. So I feel like it maybe should have been just
Hunter.
Hunter and maybe Wrecker, and Crosshair sacrificed himself or something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, see, I felt like it. It didn't feel like a final episode. Sure, they killed the big bad, but I felt like the episode before the final episode, where
Yeah.
Tarkin's actually the big bad. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Tarkin showed up at the end, so it's like it would make sense that if they beat the big bad, they wrap up that story, and then the real bad from the actual movies shows up, and it's like, oh, here's the actual threat. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that would make a good final episode. But it feels like they kind of just they wrapped up this smaller story, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're good, and then boop, like skip like 10 years, and it's like, what? Like all it
Yeah.
just like you don't even see anybody else but Hunter and Mega, and it's like, what about this? What about that? What's happening to every? There's so many questions that are not answered.
Yeah.
It's just a random time jump
And also, I'm
out
pretty
of
sure
nowhere.
every season had 16 episodes except this one. So it's kind of just
Yeah.
weird that this one only had 15.
Yeah, but the last one was like 3 episodes in one. It was 50 minutes.
Yeah, that is true. Um, Also, this thing with Project Necromancer, like, they just
It
kind of,
happened. So
yeah,
where did the data come from?
yeah, like, they did end up cloning Palpatine. So when did they start funding this again? Because I thought this was going to be the answer, you know? I thought, like, at least they would succeed in getting Omega's
Yeah,
blood and figuring it out or something, you know?
it could have been as simple as Tarkin going, or like one of the officers talking to Tarkin goes like, we were able to recover the backup data, or or like what's his face, the bad guy had a data drive on him with as like a black box device or something like that. But they literally said all the data was destroyed. But we know this project took place.
Yeah,
So why? I don't understand that.
I don't get
We
it either.
know that this data wasn't lost. So why did they tell us it was lost?
Yeah.
Was it
Questions.
was it was it to wrap up Omega's story so we didn't feel weird that Omega wasn't part of the bigger universe?
I don't know. But now it's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
don't know.
like, at the end she goes to fight with the rebellion, and it's like, okay, that's it. We're never going to see her again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that part honestly is a little annoying
hmm,
because this character that at first was annoying
yeah.
and then like you started to actually like gel with this character. By the end of it you're like, yeah, you're like rooting for her. Like I liked her as a character by the end of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, she's going to rebellion. Let's see that. But I know we're not going to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And I
So,
know that she does not play a major role because we know what happens.
yeah.
This is like a prequel sort of thing. Is a show before all the events, those movies. So it's like you just leave us with more questions, and not in a good way.
Yeah. So, all in all, I would say this season was kind of a mixed bag for me. I think my
Yeah,
favorite season was season two out of the three.
yeah.
Um, I feel like I got the most with those characters, and I felt like the finale of that with Tech dying actually had stakes and stuff
Hmm.
now, especially because they didn't bring him back. So, um,
I felt like this whole entire show should have been 2 seasons.
yes,
The first season, getting to know the people and the characters, and the second season, story.
yeah,
But it was stretched out to what, 3 seasons, and the pacing was weird. There was a lot of filler in places, and I don't know. It was just strange. It was
yeah,
strange. Like it felt like Tech dying should have been the end of this season, so it had impact. You know,
yes, yes,
um, that's why that's what set up this whole season because the end of season two we're like, and then this season happens and it's just like, okay, we just moved on that fast, that easily. Like everybody
yeah,
forgot about it, you know.
yeah. So, I don't know. Do we rate shows? I can't remember.
I don't think
um,
we've ever gotten to the end of a full show, have
oh,
we?
you're right.
Because we're still
Okay.
doing X-Men.
Yeah, true. Okay, I'm ready to rate if you are.
I wasn't planning on reading, but I gotta think about it.
I think I have one.
You go, 'cause I want to hear what you
Okay.
say.
I would say, all in all, this show is a solid six. Not bad, not bad, but there's a lot of filler. But the good stuff takes it over above a five, which would just be middle of the road kind of filler, you know? I think it gives it that extra point. I think the good episodes are worth your time to watch. But I feel like there's a lot of skippable episodes that you could just read a 3 sentence summary of
Mm-hmm.
in 10 seconds and just be like, oh, okay, this happened, you know?
Especially the first and even the second season, there was a lot of like adventure of the week, monster of the week, mission of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, oh my goodness, I want to give it a 5.
Okay.
Solid middle of the road. I felt like it was a step in the right direction, but there was just too much filler, too much not enough actually, not enough payoff in places
Yeah.
that mattered. You showed characters and then just moved on
Yeah.
without like actually exploring these interesting characters. Um and again, you had these weird if this is a show on a streaming service, why are you doing Adventure of the Week kind of content?
Exactly.
It's not a
And not just
TV
dropping
show.
all the episodes at once. You know, this is the kind of show where I feel like it would have benefited from dropping all the episodes at once.
Yeah.
So, because I mean,
Yeah.
there were some weeks where it was like we'd watch an episode and we're like, "That's it."
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
okay,
I get
all
dropping all the
right,
episodes at once if they were actually if sorry, I get serializing it if they were actually story episodes.
yeah. Like I'm excited to watch X-Men. We need to catch up on X-Men because there's two more. Yeah, I know this Wednesday and then next Wednesday is the season finale.
All right.
So,
So are we we'll talk about it after. All right. So we still have to catch up on X-Men. We still have a few
yes,
other shows to watch with Star Wars, right? We
yes.
have
So next up, we're gonna watch Tales of the Jedi, which is only 6 episodes. Each episode's
okay.
like 15 minutes.
Okay.
So we're gonna knock that out, and then that's just it. It's just like a tiny little mini series, and then there's Tales of the Empire, which just came out. It's the same way.
Okay.
It's a little mini series.
When does
So
Acolyte come out again?
Acolyte comes out June 6th, I think, something like that. Starts
I
coming
am
out.
I know we've talked about it before. I'm excited to see that because it is set in a totally different time period with
Yes,
characters we don't know.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure, and I hope it's good.
So do I, because whatever it's going to be, we're just going to have to go with it.